Come when called is actually a behavior that is really super easy to train and really straightforward, but it's also one that lots of owners struggle with. So there are a couple of reasons that people usually don't have a lot of success with teaching this. The first is that it is notoriously under-rewarded. This is a behavior that owners tend to nickel and dime, when in actuality the payoff should be massive. The second reason is that we often call our dogs to us for punishment, to get into their crates, to come inside from the backyard, to leave the dog park. So the dog learns really quickly that when he hears the cue, that's a signal that the fun is over. So why would he come to us? So just like any other behavior, the key to teaching a solid come when called is to start with an incremental training plan where we do not move on to the next step until the dog is completely successful at the preceding step. So step one is to build a really strong association with the cue and the behavior. Step two is to start calling your dog away from distractions. Step three is to increase the distractions and the distance. And finally, step four is to take it to the park, where most people need it. Randomly, throughout the day, when your dog is least expecting it, call your dog to you and then give them a massive payoff.
Good girl. Such a good baby girl.
So you want to use something really high value. I have some boiled chicken here, and you want to use a good portion of it. Kiana just got a handful of boiled chicken because I want to make a strong impression on her. Repeat this in different locations, always surprising your dog when they are least expecting it.
Yeah. Here. Oh, good girl. Oh, good girl.
So remember, this is something that you cannot over-reward. You want to give a big handful of something super delicious so that we can make a really strong impression on the dog in the early stages of training this. So the setup for this step is actually pretty simple. You'll first need to recruit a helper, and you'll want to load their hands up with a really tasty food reward. Let the dog lick it, nibble it, harass the helper's hand, but not have any. You'll then want to station yourself about 6 feet away and call your dog to you. The instant your dog comes to you, and it may seem like an eternity, but they all come eventually, hold on to her collar and praise her profusely. As soon as you have a hold of her collar, have your helper run over and give her the reward.
Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Yana. Good girl. Good girl. Good job. Kiana, come here, Kiana, come here. Good girl. Good girl.
You can also call your dog away from other distractions, like the front door when you're about to go for a walk. The reward is getting to go for the walk.
Good girl. Ready to go? Good girl. Good girl. Let's go.
Now it's time to take it outside. Recruit your helper again and practice the same exercise. Have the helper's hand loaded up with tasty food, call your dog away from the helper, and the instant your dog comes to you, have your helper run over and give the dog a reward. So this location was a lot more distracting for her because, as you can see, there are kids screaming and running on the other side of that chain link fence in the background. There are also lots of smells on the ground that were distracting her. And this is really typical. The second trial, she came a lot faster. So a good rule of thumb when you first practice this off-leash is to give the dog about 6 minutes after you've taken the leash off to have an opportunity to run around, burn off some steam, take in all the smells of the new environment before you try to call your dog to you. So after your dog has gotten used to the new environment, practice calling your dog to you, rewarding him heavily, then sending him back to play. Do this several times, repetition after repetition. Once your dog is consistently coming to you every single time you call her in this context, then you can start to make it difficult with other distractions, like other dogs. So it really is that simple. The key things to take away are: practice makes perfect. The more times that you reinforce your dog for coming when you call him, the more likely he is to come to you in an emergency situation. And you'll be delighted to have a dog that beelines to you in that sort of scenario. Also, make sure the payoff is spectacular and never call your dog to you for punishment.